Where are the jobs? It's that question that has underpinned BloombergQuint's coverage of Budget 2017. Has the finance minister created an economic environment that's conducive enough to build the jobs economy? Well, to answer that question, I have with me an expert. Manish Sabharwal, the chairman of Team Lease, is here with me to talk us through whether the budget has delivered on these counts. Manish, thank you so much for speaking with us here at BloombergQuint. You wrote for us and our readers a column that identified the 6 interventions, as you called it, that you expected the finance minister to make in the union budget to help what I can broadly call the jobs economy, right? Not a single of those 6 is featured anywhere in the budget. Are you a disappointed man?
Well, the 6 things I pointed out are in the nature of regulatory cholesterol for ease of doing business and in education reform. So if you step back from the jobs problem, we don't have a jobs problem, we have a wages problem. Everybody who wants a job has a job, they just don't have the salary they want or they need. So at a certain level, formalization, urbanization, industrialization, and human capital are what any budget can do if they decide the problem is wages. If you think the problem is jobs, you'll do NREGS. We've spent 2.5 lakh crores on NREGS since the program started, and I know this budget has a large allocation for NREGS, but NREGS is never going to solve a jobs problem, nor is it going to create skills. So if the one thing that I would be disappointed on this was just not enough regulatory cholesterol was got rid of in the education sector. So we didn't nuke UGC, we didn't create new connectivity between degrees and skills, we didn't remove the ban on online higher education. But that said, a 10-year plan for jobs is not 10 one-year plans. So what I'm delighted with is formalization. I think the thrust of formalization is the only solution to India's problems.
All right, I'm going to talk about formalization in just a bit. But before that, I think the 2 big economic efforts of the budget were towards housing and the big tax break that the finance minister gave small and medium-sized enterprises, taking the headline tax rate from 30% to 25%. Now, across the board, business leaders, economists, tax experts have praised both these measures as measures that will help achieve economic growth and measures that will also help achieve jobs. Is that how you read it as well?
Well, it'll achieve formal jobs. I repeat myself, our problem is not jobs, our problem is formal jobs. Our problem is not jobs, it's good jobs. So we have 6.3 crore enterprises in India. 1.2 crore of them don't have an office. 1.2 crore of them work from home. Only 85 lakh enterprises have any form of tax registration. Only 10 lakh are companies, but most tragically, there are only 18,000 companies in India with a paid-up capital of more than 10 crores. So 6.3 crore enterprises mean nothing if it only translates to 18K companies with a paid-up capital of $1.5 million. So it's not just the tax reduction for SMEs, it is the cap on paying more than 3 lakhs in cash, and following up GST and demonetization. I think if the government stays the course on formalization, that is really what this government can do for jobs. I mean, the world is a hostile place right now with Trump and Brexit. So, when China started thinking about jobs in 1978, they saw a super cycle of global growth, global openness to trade, and global manufacturing. We don't have that. So domestic consumption is our ticket, and I think formalization of enterprises is the only way we're going to accomplish. So absolutely, I think they did 10 things on formalization, and all of them really take us in the direction of better jobs.
All right, then in which case, even though the 6 interventions that you had asked for were not met with, the big effort or push towards formalizing several elements or aspects of the economy should make you a happy man at the end of this budget exercise, except for the fact that I think skills building may not have found as much mention in this budget, though I think there are many out there who believe that really this is not necessarily something that the government can do in any direct fashion. Would you agree with that?
I mean, the role of the government is not to set things on fire, it is to create the conditions for spontaneous combustion.
Yeah.
But that accepted, I think that there is they are obsessed about regulatory cholesterol in ease of doing business and formalization, I think that obsession has to translate to getting rid of the regulatory ayatollahs like UGC, AICT, who are today preventing, connection of skills to college, fixing school education. They did talk of learning outcomes. So my sense is if the budget is evolving to be an accounting statement, then we've got the wrong expectations. Maybe that's what it's supposed to be, and there are other forums for reform to be declared. But I think following up GST demonetization and their formalization with sort of massive changes to the regulatory cholesterol in human capital would be nice over the next few months.
All right, you count, Manish, on a last note, you counted 10 efforts in the budget towards formalization. Besides GST and that, limit on cash transactions, would you like to list for us some of the other noteworthy ones?
Well, the differential tax rate for companies.
Yes, I got that.
That's really key for formalization. And I think just the lower regulatory, the revamp of the human capital of the tax department. Now, I know a lot of people miss that, and over demonetization, people have been worried about tax terrorisms. But the move to data-driven algorithms, the move to we need to move from deals to rules in everything for India to formalize. See, one of India's tragedies is that if somebody follows a rule, they feel like they've missed a deal. So I think there was a lot in the budget which is moving away from deals to rules, moving away from discretion to rules. So whether you think about what they're doing for the tax department, whether they think about the threshold that they did for reopening cases, I think there's a lot of plumbing. You campaign in poetry, but you govern in prose. And I think this budget was an overdue dose of prose in ease of doing business. So my sense is that will play out well.
All right, Manish, on that note, thank you so much for your insights and thank you for joining us on Bloomberg Quint. That's Manish Sabharwal of Team Lees, and like he said, this budget was more an exercise in prose than poetry, which is a good thing. An accounting statement, that's what we've been pushing for. Thank you for tuning in.